All right, guys, I am back with a brand new DC update. And this update is going to be trailing off the big news that I just talked about earlier today. And there's a few things I want to follow up on. And we're also going to look back at that graph that I showed in the previous video, so 2 videos ago, that showed how much these DCU movies had made at the box office. But first, I want to address something I said in the last video that I was wrong on. And I told you guys I'm always going to come back, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to admit it. I had made a comment that James Gunn had lied again on a discussion he had had with Zack Snyder, and that was not the case. And I don't think that I have ever publicly or purposefully said anything about that specific claim by James Gunn, okay? And if I have in the past, I do apologize. Someone would have to show me which video that is in. But when you do as many videos as I do, it's impossible for me to go back and say, oh, it was in this video. So if you guys know exactly where I said it, when it was done, please provide me that clip, show me where. But if I did, I apologize because I would have been wrong. But I don't typically claim that James Gunn lied on something unless I can back it up. And that was one of those comments where I didn't know one way or another. I don't know James Gunn. And this is something else I wanted to bring up. Because as soon as this article came up, there is another popular YouTube channel called Our Movie News. I do like their content. I don't watch it very often. I tend not to watch a whole lot of other people's videos because I like to bring my content without being skewed by others' views. And he does have really good content. He presents really well. He deserves to have the viewership that he has. Now, I jumped on him because as soon as this article came out, he came out and apologized directly to James Gunn for being too hard on him. And I gave him a hard time about that because I just felt like it was unwarranted. And then people called me nothing other than a Snyder shill and all kinds of names and telling me I need, that I'm one of those toxic fans, and I'm not. I am not one of those toxic fans. I don't consider myself just a Snyder fan. I am very much a DCEU fan. Okay, there is a big difference. And I am not going to put somebody down just because of their opinions. But if you come at me and you're going to threaten me or just put me down just because you want to jump on me, yeah, I'm going to call you out on it. And there's a couple people I just don't have time to respond to anymore on YouTube, so they're not going to get responses back from me when they make claims. There's just a couple of people that I just don't have the time for it. I've got too many things going on, and so I can't do that. Now, I did respond back to Our Movie News and apologize for jumping on them so quickly. It was a knee-jerk reaction to what had happened. And they have the feeling that the Snyderverse is over. It's time for everybody to move on. I am not. And I told them that I'm sorry for the knee-jerk reaction. But here's how I view this, okay? I am never going to apologize directly to James Gunn. I don't know James Gunn. James Gunn doesn't even know who I am. James Gunn doesn't know Our Movie News, doesn't know who he is. We don't have a personal relationship. I've never met the guy. And so I have nothing to apologize for directly at James Gunn. But I do have to apologize to my fans if I get the information wrong. And if I was ever wrong on that, I apologize for it. The only time I could think of where that may have come up is when Ben Affleck had said he had been in and had a meeting with James Gunn, and then in that article that he did for, I believe, Rolling Stone, he said he would never direct something for James Gunn, even though James Gunn said he did want to direct and they were looking for the right project for him to do. That is a straight-up lie, okay? And that's easily provable, and I'll bring up stuff like that when it happens. There have been a half a dozen incidents where James Gunn has been caught lying, and I will always address those. But if I was wrong on that, I do apologize. My intention is never to bring the wrong information. And I'm not, and one thing I want to make very clear here is I'm never going to be some studio shill. I'm never going to ride the wave. That's not who I am. I love the DCEU. I love the characters that were started with Zack Snyder. I wanted to see that stuff continue. And the fact that James Gunn came in and blew everything up, yeah, I'm not ready to forgive him for that. I'm not ready to forgive the studio. The studio has messed with the fans to a degree, and I've talked about this going back all the way to the 80s, to a degree where they're going to have to win our trust back at this stage. And Superman Legacy is the first part of this new DCU, and I don't think they're fully committed to this DCU yet. I think they're going to wait until that first project gets released because they need to see how well it does. I don't think Creature Commandos is going to do nearly as well. I don't think it's going to do even as well as Peacemaker, and even Peacemaker wasn't this juggernaut hit, and I don't think Creature Commandos is going to even do that well. And then Superman Legacy, I mean, if it doesn't make at least as much as Man of Steel did, it's going to be considered a failure, and I am going to equate that to a price of inflation. Since Man of Steel came out 10 years ago, the cost of tickets is way different, and we're going to have to do a one-to-one comparison. And if it doesn't do anywhere near what the Batman did, which is their most popular property at DC for films, then it's going to be considered a failure, but they're going to try and spin it some other way. But I don't think it's going to be justifying doing a whole new universe. Now, Gunn has to nail that film. He has to nail it in the look, in the feel, in everything. And, these so-called DC fans that are online bashing people like me who are DCU fans, where are you guys? You guys claim to be the real DC fans, but why are you not going to see these last 4 films? If you're true DC fans, you're going to see everything. And I am a true DC fan, so I will see everything. Will I like everything? Absolutely not. And I am going to give you my honest opinion on everything. But I make a promise to you that I am never going to ride the waves just because it's what's popular. I am never going to be able to be purchased by a studio. My reviews are never going to be skewed by somebody else's view on something. It is always going to be my view. It's my review. That is my channel, and I promise to you guys that it will remain that way. I'm never going to be somebody who's going to flip-flop just because it's what's happening. Now, I'm not claiming that that's what Our Movie News is doing, but my biggest complaint over that is that they don't know James Gunn. They have nothing to apologize for. I don't apologize to my neighbor's pet because I get angry at their pet, right? I'm not going to go and apologize to the person at the grocery store that was rude to me at the register just because they work there and I feel like I should go back to apologize to them because I made some comment offline that they never hear or see. That's ridiculous. That's not the way the world functions. People don't do that. But to my viewers, my goal is to always be honest with you and bring you the real information. But there's always going to be those people in the comments that jump on me and are super rude. Why are they even wasting their time? If you have real constructive criticism, bring it. But I'm not going to be responding to the stupid stuff anymore. I mean, this Jim guy who's a lawyer, it was ridiculous. He came in and tried to say that I was spinning the fact that Black Adam did not get released in China and a few other areas, that I was trying to spin that like it was some plan by the studio. And I've never said anything of the sort. I've never even indicated that or even suggested that in any way, shape, or form. Okay? It's not even close to the truth. I've never spun that comment at all. It's just a fact that Black Adam did not receive a couple of big releases that all of the other DC films have actually been able to achieve, which did affect the box office. And had it been released in China, which is a huge contributor, and I can tell you that Dwayne Johnson is a huge deal over there, it would have made $200 to $300 million more than it did. And that is just a fact. Okay, but it never had that luxury. So it's not as big of a failure as people claim it was. Okay, financially, yeah, because it didn't get that release, it's going to hurt it. But I never spun that in any way. That's ridiculous to even claim that. That's just people looking for stuff to complain about. So move along, guys. I'm not going to respond to those stupid comments anymore if you're rude to me. I mentioned somebody was rude to me today, and they apologized for that. But I'm not doing that anymore. I just don't have the time to go through all the comments and to respond to everything that everybody posts. But my goal is to always be truthful here. Now, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to address... Well, first, let's address, that graphic. I'm going to bring that graphic back up that I showed the other day, and I'm going to talk about an analogy that I equate this to, and hopefully this will make it easier for people to understand. Now, this is going to be my favorite graphic going forward, but I'm going to point something out that is interesting here. So everyone said that Batman versus Superman, the so-called DC fans and all the haters online, said that Batman versus Superman is what caused the downfall of the DCEU. And I pointed out that that is not the case because people still continue to come for Suicide Squad. They came for Wonder Woman. They still came for Justice League, but not as high in numbers. And they really came back for Aquaman. If it had really ended with Batman and that was the downfall, they wouldn't have come back and Aquaman would not have been a hit. And I liken it this way. Let's say you go to a restaurant. So this is Man of Steel is the first time you go to a restaurant. The food's decent, but you're not quite sure if you really liked it. So you come back again, and it made more money, and you liked that meal. It was pretty good. You liked it more than Man of Steel, right? But if that was truly the downfall, you would never go back to that restaurant again. But you continue to come back for the next meal, even the next meal, and then you really went back for a big meal, and then all of a sudden you decided after that big meal, that big one, that you decided you're just not going to go back anymore. That doesn't make any sense, guys. That's not how things function. It is a fact that people were interested, but the studio interference, and it continues to be the studio interference, that is ruining these movies. Now, I want to show you a couple of funny things that are coming up in regards to Aquaman 2 and also this Willy Wonka movie that's going to get released here pretty soon. So Variety was reporting 2 days ago, well, yesterday as a matter of fact, and I actually wanted to address this, and I forgot to do it in my video yesterday, but it says, Christmas at the box office hinges on Aquaman 2. Movie theater owners are worried. And they are. This is true. I mean, this is not a fake headline. This is actually real. And it was just announced yesterday that, not that it was announced. People knew this, but it's what was actually happening. And it's nice to see Disney acknowledging this. But they didn't have a $1 billion hit this year, and it's the first time since 2014 that they didn't have a $1 billion hit because they're not listening to the fans. And everybody knows this. They even know it. And they even admit that they have stopped making movies for, the mainstream and that they need to get back to doing that. And they're talking about quality over quantity moving forward. But you know what's going to be a big hit? The same day that Aquaman 2 gets released is when Rebel Moon gets released. Rebel Moon is going to destroy Aquaman. People are going to be at home watching Netflix. Netflix is going to see a jump in viewership. Guarantee it. It's going to be a huge hit, and Aquaman is going to flounder at the box office. This is because of what James Gunn and what David Zaslav has caused for the company. It has nothing to do with the DCEU. It has nothing to do with what Zack Snyder did. It had nothing to do with what happened prior to Aquaman. This is a direct result of the studios going against what the fans and the viewers wanted. And these are going to be the results and will continue to be the results going forward if they don't correct the ship. Disney is making efforts to correct the ship, but their brand is damaged, I think, beyond repair. Warner Brothers is not damaged beyond repair, but they have a lot of trust they have to build back up with the general audience and people like me. So this is another thing I wanted to address, and this is directly Warner Brothers Discovery related, that the first reactions for Wonka have arrived. This was from Variety yesterday. And it said Timothy Chalamet, I don't know how you say his name, is earning raves and being called infinitely charming, intoxicating, pitch perfect, and a blast to watch in the lead role of Willy Wonka. That he is the reason alone to see Wonka. This is that Warner Brothers Discovery... that PR advertisement, they're reaching out to all of these outlets, asking them to do positive things. We saw this with Blue Beetle, we saw it with The Flash, we saw it with Shazam 2, and what happened? They were a bomb. People don't care what these outlets have to say anymore. People have lost faith in the reviewers. They'll make their own judgment when the movie comes out, and I think the box office will reflect that. Now, I'm actually interested in seeing this. I really do like the original Wonka movie, but I got to tell you, the one thing that I noticed is his acting in the trailer did not blow me away. It looked like somebody who was acting. It didn't look like he was that character. To me, it looked very stale. Now, I'm hoping the movie is just the opposite, and it may well be. But I will judge that when the movie actually gets released. I will review this once it does get released. Now, this came from Reuters also a couple of days ago that David Zaslav may find his options have reached the limit. The Warner Brothers Discovery chief executive will have to more than double the value of the media company if he wants to collect a lavish $200 million compensation package awarded when Discovery agreed to merge with Warner Media in 2021. Even if the better parts of the business with more promise perform, hitting pay dirt is an uphill task. Even they see what's going on. And this is Reuters. Okay, this isn't me making this up. This isn't some spin here. This company is in serious trouble. And I've talked about this. They are a sinking ship. Zack Snyder also came out and was talking, about toxicity within the fandoms. And this is outside of that article that was released today. But he said, look, there's tons of toxic fans, and I don't condone that behavior. But for every toxic fan, there were legitimate, ridiculous, and incredibly dark attacks on me and my family. And it happened. And so, for people just to say that the DCU fans and specifically Snyder fans are super toxic, everybody else has to look at themselves too. This is not a one-way street and never has been. So as of today, Warner Brothers is still on fire. The ship is sinking, and there's nobody to save them. People said that Barbie was going, help the company tremendously. And you have to understand, one movie hit for the company, you have to understand that Warner Brothers Discovery is not just movies. There's a bunch of other things that comprise Warner Brothers Discovery. And their stock has continued to fall and is going to continue to fall. People, investors have lost faith in this company, and it is going to affect the universe going forward. Again, I don't think anything else is going to be greenlit. I don't think there's going to be any more scripts written. I'm betting they're halting production on everything except for Creature Commandos and Superman for the time being. And this is just speculation on my part, so this isn't a fact. But I'm speculating that we're not going to see any more big, major news until after those projects get released. Next year is going to be pretty dumpy for Warner Brothers at movies. There's just not going to be a whole lot to be excited about because, I'm excited for the Batman 2. I am excited to see, but that's not coming out next year. I am excited to see the Penguin show. And I'm going to check out Creature Commandos because it's supposedly the first project. They keep changing the goalpost. The first project for the DCU. But they still have to explain how things are going to switch over, and they haven't done that yet. Now, one thing I've also forgotten to talk about in my previous videos is that Warner Brothers did release the first trailer for the Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths, and that it's going to be a 3-part movie series, animated. I don't know if that's going to be the thing that explains how everything changes. I don't know, but they do go to great lengths in the trailer to show that there are different versions of these characters out there. And so, who knows? But there's my DC update for the day. As more information gets released, I will be doing more videos. So please stick to my channel. I do appreciate all the support. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me to talk about things I've already talked about before. You've really got to like these videos. You have to subscribe, and you have to hit that notification bell if you want to be notified when I have new videos go up. You can't just go to my front page and see all the videos in chronological order. They're picking and choosing what they promote. And so if you want to see the movie reviews I've done and the other things, you have to be subscribed and you have to hit that notification bell, or I guarantee you are going to miss something. I do appreciate the support. We will see you on the next video.